Why did I quit my dream 9 to 5 job after only 3 months? Well, just like a lot of you, like when I was in undergraduate and graduate school, I didn't really know what to do. I had just spent the past 20 years basically playing tennis, that being my main focus, my main passion. And, at this time I knew that I wasn't going to go pro, or I wasn't going to be pursuing going pro anymore. So I had to figure out kind of what I needed to do with my life next. And, after undergrad, I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to grad school, do my MBA. I didn't know what to do, so this seemed like, okay, I can still go a lot of directions with that. And also, my student visa was running out. I was an international student, so this was my only way to stay in America. So I was like, okay, well, I want to stay in America, so let's go this path. So that's what I did. I went to grad school, and I can honestly say that I pretty much used nothing that I learned in my MBA program as an entrepreneur, or really for any of the businesses that I've done, but that's a separate topic. But what I did do at the time was do all these tests, all these personality tests, all these job tests, meet with counselors, like all these different things that you do to try to figure out what your purpose and passion is and all that type of thing. After all these tests, it showed that advertising was best suited for me. In hindsight, looking back now a long time ago, like that doesn't to me make any sense anymore, and it's like couldn't be a worse fit for me personally. But that's what they told me, and that's what it's, and I was kind of desperate to find my purpose and find some new passion to latch onto. So I 100% latched onto that and thought, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm set. This is my purpose. And that's the thing in today's society. We're so obsessed with our passion and our purpose that even videos like basically making it seem like you'll be miserable if you don't have a purpose. It's something that it gets ingrained in all of us just because of how society is. It's an achievement-based society. And I was no different. It affected me in that way. So I thought I had to go find it quickly, or what am I going to do with my life? Even though it's okay to just be searching for it. Searching itself is a stage of your life, and it's okay to also enjoy that. But I felt like I had to quickly find it. The in-between I wasn't comfortable with. And it makes sense that I wouldn't find it that quickly because I just spent 20 years on one passion. And you're not going to find the next thing super quickly. And even if you do, like obviously that's awesome, but more than likely you're going to start something that's going to turn into your passion. That's kind of how tennis was for me. I just didn't remember it at the time, because when I started playing tennis, I was 7 years old. And when you're 7 years old, you're just kind of going out there, having fun, playing with your family, playing with your friends. And you're not thinking when you start playing like, oh, I suck, this is not good for me, like maybe this isn't my passion, maybe it's not what I'm meant to do. And you're not even thinking that. You're very present. You're just enjoying it. And as you start getting better, that's when it started turning into this all-consuming passion. And that's how it was for me. I remember probably around 11, 12 years old is when it really was like my main thing in life, and I knew I wanted to go pro. So that took a couple of years. So I do think you need to get at a certain level before you know if something's your passion. I think most things turn into your passion the better you get at them, combined with what you're interested in. But that's not what I obviously did in that scenario. What I did was latch onto this, and then I thought, okay, how am I going to achieve this? So the first thing I wanted to do was find the companies I wanted to work for potentially. So I did a lot of research, Google, work-life balance, work culture, all the different things you can kind of Google and research. So I had a big list of companies that I was potentially interested in working for. But then the next thing was, okay, how do I get a job at one of these companies? A lot of them, some of them weren't hiring, a lot actually weren't at the time. And even if they were, I was like, okay, well, I'm competing with hundreds, maybe even thousands, who knows how many people applying for this job, and my resume is pretty empty. So I'm going to be competing with probably people that are more qualified than me. That didn't seem like a good combination. So I was like, okay, how can I get around that? Well, maybe I can get around that by messaging people that are already in the company and trying to meet up with them. So that's what I did. I researched the people on LinkedIn, and then through LinkedIn, I messaged a bunch of people, like 80 or 100, whatever it was. And I ended up meeting up with like 15 for coffee, which is a pretty good ratio, I would say. I always feel like if you're doing more than 1 out of 100, you're not hitting a bad ratio. So I ended up meeting up with them. And then through that, I actually ended up getting a job. And that was kind of what I was trying to do. I was also trying to kind of hear from different people how it actually was working at these companies, so I had a full picture. But also my second motivation was obviously to hope that, okay, maybe one one of these people will tell me like, there's a job opening up right now, there's one that's about to open up. And that's pretty much what happened. One of the guys told me that they were just about to open up a job position and I could interview next week. So basically I went into the interviews not having to compete with anyone because they hadn't even posted it yet at the time. So I did my interviews and basically got the job. And that way it's easier for the company because they don't have to go through that whole process. So I got the job and, I was initially very happy. It was like, okay, I got this pretty quickly and now I'm on my path, right? But the initial excitement wore off really quickly. When I started working there, I right away started feeling like this isn't a good fit for me, or I'm not enjoying this. It wasn't just that it was like a 9 to 6. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I think what was wrong with it for me at the time was I hated all the aspects of it. I hated the commuting there. I felt that like I was wasting a lot of time traveling. Then I also felt like out of that 9 to 6, I felt like I was realistically working 3, maybe 4 hours a day. And a lot of people I've spoken to that work for different companies also say like, yeah, like realistically, maybe I work 4 hours, maybe 5. There are exceptions, of course, but there's a lot of people that say, oh, we're not really working that full time, which I don't think is that realistic anyway. I just think productivity goes down after you've worked 4 or 5 hours a day. I think that's true for almost everyone. You only have a limited amount of brain power every day to really get big tasks done. Anyway, so that wasn't a good fit for me. I felt like, okay, what am I doing here? I'm like sitting around pretending to be busy, which was a lot of what happened there. And I noticed that with other people too. Well, everyone was kind of just pretending to be busy, and because you kind of got rewarded to pretend that you're working hard, that, oh, look at him, he's staying till 8 p.m. What a hard worker. It's like, yeah, but he's not doing all the work. Like, he's just sitting there, he's pretending, he's making it look a certain way. So I didn't like that. And then I didn't like that's a lot of time was wasted on these pointless meetings, which is a thing that a lot of these companies do. Just a lot of meetings that just seemed completely pointless, big waste of time. A lot of them could have been like one email and done. But I think they all do that because they think it's necessary and it's so ingrained in that culture. But I just felt like, what am I doing here? Like, this is such a waste of time. So after 2 months, I knew that, okay, I gotta get out of here. I need to find something else. Like, I just felt like, I don't know, my enthusiasm for life was going way down. I was just feeling like, oh, this sucks. Like, is this what the rest of my life's gonna look like? So after 2 months is when I was like, okay, I'm gonna quit in a month and I need to go into doing something for myself. I did learn pretty quickly there that, okay, I value my freedom a lot, especially my time freedom. So I was like, okay, the only way to do that is to work for yourself. That's the only real way you have complete time freedom. So I knew that I wanted to get into entrepreneurship, and obviously I didn't know that journey, comes with its own things that are really hard and things that are like different, like, yeah, that are also, you're sometimes working more. You usually are working more. So there's a lot of things there that I didn't know initially, but that's for a different video. But I knew I wanted to go that direction, so that's what I ended up doing. That story about how I started my first company, I'll tell another video because that's also a long story. Can't wait to share that, and I'll see you guys next time.